Hey healers, happy 888. So everyone's talking about this as an abundance activation, as the Lion's Gate portal. There's a whole spiritual conspiracy with it, so those who know. Anytime you have like a big event like this, unfortunately the spiritual community has been completely infiltrated and hijacked, so you really want to use your full discernment when it comes to what you're participating in, what you choose to participate in, and what you choose to believe in. It's okay to go against the grain. Like, it's okay to not do what everybody else is doing. In the spiritual community, when it comes to working as a spiritual practitioner, it becomes like a corporate environment with all these specific events that everybody talks about, and there's this pressure to churn out constant content telling everybody what to do, when, and how to handle each lunation and each astrological movement, and it's really not necessary, because if you're in tune with the rhythms of the earth and the rhythms of your soul, you are going to be spiritually aligned to whatever planetary movement there is. You are going to feel it. The reason why the planets affect us is because they're bigger than us, and they have a gravitational pull that resonates with us, so it can actually move us. And the reason why times like this are ripe for spiritual harvesting is because the majority of people are not conscious. They're not in their bodies. They've experienced significant trauma. You know, we talk a lot about being trauma survivors and healing from trauma, but it's not many people on earth that aren't. We only have the ability and the gift of looking at it. We have the privilege of doing that. The majority of trauma survivors don't identify as a trauma survivor. They don't. It's not really beneficial to do so, okay? It's like in the real world, identifying in these ways is what makes you get hurt over and over. Like, it locks you into a certain identity and it repeats. So this is a time that you can really break free from stagnant identities, and you can claim a new timeline for yourself. Right now, everybody's sort of like in between 2 or 3 timelines. There's like the victim story, the old story. You gain a lot from being a victim. Like, you literally get shit that you need when you've been victimized. If you go to a domestic violence shelter, you get housing, you get food, you get community. So it's really hard to break that cycle amongst people that have never had enough, never had what they needed, and the only time they ever had what they needed or got what they needed was when they were in crisis. That perpetuates the cycle of crisis, because if you are conditioned to like never receiving support unless you're in a crisis, then it can become really challenging to know how to like ask for support, have a built-in support system to receive support. And it's almost like people need the crisis in order to feel worthy to ask for help, and in order to not feel too guilty. And it's like a rush to the bottom of the lowest common denominator when you go on that spiral, because there's a reciprocal relationship between people who receive help and people who give help. And so for a lot of the people that think they're the people that, like, they're always there for other people, they show up for other people, but nobody ever shows up for them. Or they have a relationship with somebody that they get frustrated because that person always needs stuff. They need this, they need that. They have this problem, and the person helps them, and then they still have the problem. Well, the majority of problems that people have, like, they're lifelong issues. They're not just going to be solved with getting help one time. And then, like I'm saying, like, if you're acclimated to crisis as the baseline opportunity to have support, and if you're not in a crisis, then you feel bad for asking or for needing, then what that does is it incentivizes crisis. And then for the people on the other side who are giving the support during the crisis, often their incentive is not having to look at themselves and with their own issues that they have going on, and being able to feel good about themselves and better about themselves, because things might be tough, but they're not that bad. So this is like the driving impetus behind the majority of charity, is that feeling of like, okay, it could be worse. At least I'm not that down bad. I can help them. And then with a person like that, if you're doing okay, they're not going to help you. You have to be down bad for real. So this is what the majority of people in shelters and suffering on the streets have experienced. It's like the only way they get any help and any support is if they're all the way down bad. So you're getting an opportunity. I was gonna come this way, but it's too loud for me to finish my video. So right now we have an opportunity to move through a portal of breaking refugee curses, breaking curses of homelessness, breaking curses of poverty, breaking curses of codependency, breaking strongholds of mental slavery that keep us bound to status quo, to situations that don't work. We have the opportunity to break these chains and break these curses, and if we don't take it, that's on us. Everyone is responsible for themselves. There's a wounded inner child inside people that need help and expect other people to save them and expect other people to rescue them and expect other people to take a responsibility for them. Because ain't nobody gonna be responsible for you but you. And nobody can do it like you can do it. That's the real world, real life, adult life. If somebody's taking on the burden of responsibility for you, unless that's your partner or your family member, even if it's a friend, you want to ask yourself, what type of situation do you want to be locked into in this moment? So, and a lot of women have a fear of letting other people support them. They feel like they're supposed to be the one that supports other people. Well, likely, like, they've been conditioned in childhood to do that. So what ends up happening is, like, say a person is born into a family that is poor. They don't have what they need. They're in poverty. So that person never had containment. They never had, like, this adequate support that they needed. They didn't have a childhood. They were working. They were working in their family. They were parenting themselves and others in their family, their siblings, their parents. So that person grows up shaped that way. They grow up acclimated to the energy of giving, not receiving. And then typically in those type of environments, then the people that are most likely to give to those people or potentially giving to them to take something from them. Tricking them. Like, oh, hey, here, do you want this candy, little girl? Haha, oops. Then something bad happens. So our brains remember these things even if we don't remember. And the unconscious mind sit it right back up behind the amygdala. The amygdala is like your center of your brain. Oh, you know it's on. You know it's on. The amygdala is set up right at the back of your brain with your unconscious mind. I should show y'all the feather I found earlier. It was so pretty. It was striped. This one's pretty too. Thank you. And look, I love this time of moon. Where did it go? Can you guys see it? I can't zoom in on it on this app, but I love this time of moon. This is a time of moon when anything is possible. Looking like a little thumbnail. So your amygdala will hijack your frontal lobe. Your front brain is like where you regulate yourself and where you make decisions. But your unconscious mind, you don't even know what you're doing. And when you get into a fear response, a fearful state, then you could completely disassociate and completely go offline. And the things that trigger you into the fearful state, they're different for everybody. So you really have to slow down and pay attention to yourself so that you can learn yourself and see yourself and see what triggers you and what happens leading up to the moment that your amygdala goes offline and you black out and whatever. You say whatever, you do whatever. You can't control it because you're reacting out of emotion. And it's not just any emotion, it's terror and fear. Because for some reason the wires got crossed and you are associating the situation in front of you with something that happened before, even if the two situations are completely unrelated. And it could be as simple as a glance or a certain phrase or a tone of voice or a certain location or anything. It could be so unrelated, but there's just that one flicker that sends a signal of danger. And this destroys so many people's relationships. It destroys so many people's jobs. It destroys so many people's ability to function in society. It keeps people in perpetual shame and guilt because they're doing things that they have no control over. They don't feel like they can control themselves. There's a part of them that can't be responsible for themselves because it's a wounded inner child. The child is not responsible, but the child should have been able to throw a temper tantrum and get held and get comforted and say, okay, what's wrong? And the child didn't get that, so now the child is a fucking psycho. And then it becomes challenging to get that. So the thing is that, like, it's very rare for people to come from a broken home and to come from all this trauma and to just, like, have a healthy relationship. That's very, very rare. It doesn't really happen that often. Without a lot of self-work. Like, it takes work. So a lot of people want a relationship. That's like one of the main things that people get readings about. They want a relationship. So, but the ancestors and the future descendants now, our future descendants are requiring a little bit more from us. They don't want to come into the world that we came into. They don't want to come into the life that we came into. If you survived, you know, pain and trauma and neglect and abuse and abandonment and all these things as a child, like, they don't want to do that. They don't want to do it. And they're not going to if they don't have to. So this is the root cause of infertility. It's not all that other stuff. It's that the children really just don't want to come because they don't want to be born into hell. They don't want to be born into slavery. And they're not going to be. They're just not going to. They just won't come. They'll just wait. They'll wait it out. They could come back another generation. They don't really care like that. But they're, in a way, they can be spirit guides for us, guiding us to the right way. And I constantly feel pulled by them. And I have peace within myself. I think this has been the word at the last 2 church services that I went to. The first service was on marriage. The second service was on singleness. And one of the core messages that came through in the word was that marriage is a gift from God. Oh. What was that? Marriage is a gift from God, and singleness is a gift from God. Marriage is a gift from God, and singleness is a gift from God. And that really got me thinking, because I've been single for a while, you know, and it has been such a gift, because I got to learn to love my solitude, to love the time that I spend with myself, and to feel really good about myself within my solitude. Like the song? I feel like I should put this. I feel like I should put this, like. Thank you. I feel like I should put this, like. Can I do this? Oh yeah, they're gonna be hating hard when they see this. Alright. Because I can do what I want to do. Yay. I can do taboo things. Don't try this at home, kids. Alright. Yeah, it's been such a gift being single, and I think that it's, I know I spent years of my life, like, obsessively searching and looking for love where there was none. because what I didn't know is that I didn't feel safe with love, so I distanced myself from it. And that's one of the things that we do when we don't enjoy our singleness, because we're looking for something else. Like when we don't appreciate what we have already because we think there's something else we're supposed to have, we waste our lives. So don't do that on this day. Especially, I want to encourage you guys to recommit to yourself, recommit to your goals, recommit to loving your life and loving yourself. And don't forget that love is all around you. It's all around you. So make sure you like, share, subscribe, say mashallah, tell a friend, and stay tuned. Peace, healers. As-salama. Hey healers, so there's a part 2 of our message from earlier, which is about service. It's about service, it's about counseling, it's about mentorship, because there's a trend of seeking careers and spiritual mentorship. It's not just a trend for no reason. The reason why so many people are called to spiritual mentorship at this time is because of the shifting energies on our planet. We incarnated in this generation to take Earth back for Earthlings. And somebody's made a comment when I was burping in another video, get off my page, because this is energy work, okay? If you don't know what I'm doing, take my class. So you can do it too, because we need healers on Earth. So this is why so many people are called to be healers at this time. But the problem that a lot of people have is boundaries. They struggle with setting boundaries with their mentorship. So what comes through with this has to do with, hold on a second. So the message on boundaries has to do with fluidity and flexibility within the safety that you cultivate within your own vessel, and the containment within your own vessel, to contain your energies within your own vessel, to experience a myriad of emotions, to clear up the black and white and create a kaleidoscopic consciousness. So we're shifting from binary consciousness to kaleidoscope consciousness. I think I coined the term, you guys. I don't know. I never heard anybody else say it before. Kaleidoscope consciousness. Because it came to me through a journey with sacred mushrooms, where I saw the kaleidoscope on the inside of my brain. And I saw how my inner reality projected out through my eyes. So your eyes, you have a left eye, you have a right eye, you have a middle eye that's inside your head. A culprit behind mental illness, what's known as mental illness, is a spiritual affliction affecting the third eye, the inside eye. So it's basically like visualized for the collective that I'm reading this for, is like basically it's like a little tiny alien inside of your head that's like punching your third eye. And it's keeping it bound. Like I'm seeing it like punching it. I'm seeing it like tying ropes around it. It's a form of spiritual slavery. The majority of spiritually gifted people, they're in jail, they're in a homeless shelter, they're not doing well, so their gifts are hijacked and used against them. There are people that benefit from their gifts, but it's not them. And this is the struggle of the broke healer archetype. So I have a really interesting relationship with this consciousness because of how I've broken it down within my own life. Because I made the journey from not knowing how to get paid for my gifts, feeling like used, and going through the journey of setting boundaries and creating space for my own healing. Because what happens for a lot of people is they come through the pipeline that takes them to some type of caregiving profession, and they bypass their own healing, because it has to do with caste differentiations. So a certain caste would be the ones that would be in the homeless shelter, then another caste would be the ones working at the homeless shelter. But everyone is dealing with some complementary trauma that they're not likely to get help for in any case adequately. And especially because the caste that is working in the institution is not adequately relieved of their trauma and their issues. And so this is what you see with the consciousness, that like people have a certain wealth consciousness and a certain status consciousness, where like there's like a consciousness that like certain people deserve respect and certain people don't. People are programmed to mistreat people that don't have money. They're programmed to mistreat people and even abuse and assault people that they see as poor. People look at people in such a way, like their eyes register the person, and then they clock them in their brain and they lock them in a certain archetype, and it all happens very unconsciously underneath the surface. So this affects our relationships with one another when it comes to healing, providing healing services, holding space for one another, in the rigidity of feeling like there's one role of the polarity that you would occupy. You would either be the helper or the one that gets helped. And they can never interchange or intermingle or swap, because that is the roles, that is the separation consciousness, the binary consciousness, the black and white thinking that locks people into certain identities within group dynamics and interpersonal dynamics. So in reality, and in a kaleidoscopic consciousness, everyone needs help with something, and everyone has something to give. And the poverty wound and the beggar wound, I did a live stream on breaking generational curses of the beggar wound and the beggar archetype, which is essentially the reason why there's lack within that archetype. Extreme lack is because of the inner belief that the individual has nothing to offer. They don't have anything of value to offer. So there can be no any type of fair exchange because this person does not believe that they have anything to offer. So much of healing is just acknowledging what others have to offer, while also like setting boundaries that protect you from accepting what you don't want. Because everything that you accept comes with everything that it comes with. And you have to know what you're dealing with to be able to have longevity when you are an empathetic person and you're providing love and support to people in all different kind of ways in life, from your partner, family, children, friends, siblings, everyone that you deal with in the workplace, your colleagues, your clients. And boundaries will shift with every person depending on who they are and what your relationship to them is. So for specifically addressing people that are working in the adult entertainment industry or that come from the adult entertainment industry transitioning into careers in the spiritual healing arts, one of the things that is a hallmark of a person that works in adult entertainment is, you can't talk to me for free. My time is money. My time is valuable. My presence is valuable. My energy is valuable. And you need to compensate me up front before I even grace you with it. So this transfers over into the coaching industry and the spiritual healing arts also, because it's the same thing. And it really doesn't matter to me if you're a man or a woman, because either one could be just as easily be entitled to someone else's time and energy. So a lot of things that people who work in the industry don't like when clients do to them, it's the same thing in this industry. So what happens with a lot of people is they absorb the energy of other people and they don't retain their own authenticity. And with a lot of people in the industry, they absorb the energy of clientele. And when you work in the spiritual healing arts, you can also absorb the energy of your clientele. It's different for everybody. It depends on if you're an empath or not. If you are an empath, you have a special ability to create something for people that they will love, because that's one of the ways that I create from my solitude and my own pure channel, and I also create from the harnessing of collective energies. And one of the things that's been coming up for a lot of people is basically just like being ruled by collective energies or being ruled by other people's energies. This is a problem if you want to work in any industry, is like that differentiation and separating yourself out into what you want to provide, what you have to provide, versus what other people want from you and what other people want you to provide. It's like energetic peer pressure, and it happens in families, it happens in any group where group culture is strongly tied to particular identities. So if there's any shift or change in the person's identity, then they're not welcome in their group anymore. But the basis of group identity being founded on conformity means that there's not enough room for nuance in individual experience, as well as shifts in a person throughout their lifetime. And this is why the people that leave their families often can go way further towards their destiny than others, depending on what your destiny is. I speak to a lot of the black sheep and the scapegoats, the people who have been victimized by their families. A lot of people have been victimized by their families or victimized by others, but they maintain a positive image of those people in order to maintain a connection with those people. So when you pursue the path of spiritual awakening and you decide to go down the road of being a mentor, well, I shouldn't say decide, because it's really like it's more of a chosen one type of thing. But obviously you can decide whether you want to do it or not. So you can decide whether you want to do it or not. So I would do it. The only thing is what it comes with. You want to know what it comes with, because it's not a regular life. And if you're called upon to provide care for others in that way when they come to you in their most vulnerable moments, with integrity, then it's going to take a consistent reevaluation of your own belief systems, inner belief systems, your own relationship with yourself, and your own approach to your dealing with yourself. because everybody's gonna need you, especially in the times that we're in. And the times when they need you the most is gonna always be the times when you need you the most. Okay? So it's important to resource yourself ahead of time. But in order to do that, you would need to know and understand that you have something of value to offer that's worth protecting, that's worth preserving, nourishing, and nurturing. And that entails sitting with yourself, taking time, going slow, having the time to look at yourself instead of looking away, avoiding, looking to someone else. Okay. Trying to take the focus off of what's hard to look at. It's hard to look at for a reason. It doesn't want to be looked at for a reason. It's protected by something for a reason. So one of my specialties is getting into those things. Like, I can easily see into places that are supposed to be very, very hidden, but for me they are not. I thought I saw another feather. There's a shadow. So one of the ways that I started to develop myself and my spiritual senses was taking long walks, exploring, just following where I'm led. And this is how I learned to trust the voice of my intuition. So I encourage everyone that watches my channel and that sees this to think about the ways you can develop your spiritual senses. Because even if you're already gifted, a lot of times we don't put enough effort into the gifts that we already have because we're gifted already. So it's like, that's why everyone great gets coached. Everyone great has a team. Everyone great practices. So I advise everyone to practice. Let me know how it goes. And make sure you like, share, subscribe, say mashallah, tell a friend, and stay tuned. Peace, healers. Happy 888. Masalama.